Skiing in Slovakia and Poland. Are you tired of huge lift queues, eye-watering ticket prices, pistes that close early afternoon just as you're getting into it? I have taken advice from Robbie Knox, who suggested Slovakia and Poland were worth checking out. Let's hop on a £15 flight from London Stansted to Poprad in Slovakia. These days with Ryanair, any baggage is extra, but you can save a few pounds by adding it later in the booking process. 7 miles from the airport is the resort of Tatranska Lomnica. 14 kilometres of downhill runs served by 7 lifts. You can easily travel there in 15 minutes by taxi or car, or catch a bus or train if you want to be more adventurous. But it's not cheap as it's in the euro. The taxi is around €30 and a day's lift pass will be around €50, along with €20 equipment hire. Fairly steep, but let's give it a go. There are plenty of shops, cafes and hire shops to choose from. I went to Intersport Rent and by 10 AM I was heading up the lift, having left my house early that morning. The wide open, easy piece to a perfect opportunity to warm up and get a feel for my skis. The only drawback was that I had not checked into any accommodation yet and I had to ski with my week's luggage on my back. I had an enjoyable day skiing the slopes before calling it a day due to my early start leaving home that morning around 3 AM. The next day was spent walking around the village. There is a large central park as well as some friendly deer that wandered through. The remains of the original cable car that closed in 1992 are still here, and the cables dropped where they lay. From here, many walking routes can be taken into the surrounding forest and mountains. Later that afternoon, I went to the bus station and caught a Flixbus, a very cheap, long-distance bus service that would take me to Poland. This can be booked in advance and is very cheap, about €5 or €10 for most trips. We whizzed across the border and later that evening arrived in Zakopane, Poland. I checked into my hotel and was surprised to see night skiing nearby. With a good night's sleep, I decided to check out the local resort of Polana Szymoszkowa, where I first visited a ticket machine and printed out a pre-booked ticket. The Tatry Super Ski Pass that lets you ski in 19 different ski areas for a very reasonable price of around £33 per day. But there is a reason. Most of the resorts are just 1 or 2 runs, so be prepared if you have skied other larger resorts. Here, the full top to bottom run in the resort is navy blue with a short, steeper red section that becomes quite mogully in the afternoon, catching out many beginners and intermediate skiers and snowboarders. At the top of the resort is a street with shops and cafes, a great place to grab some food and drink. I can recommend the experience of a Pivo Grzane, a mulled beer that can be similar to mulled wine or other such flavours. Although I did have one raspberry mulled beer and it tasted like shampoo. Later that evening I decided to hang around and try some night skiing. This resort is open till 8 PM at this time of year. The next day I walked several miles across town to Ski Harenda, a small steep ski area that was very busy with beginners in the lower area, but relatively quiet higher up. Listed as a red and black run, the gradient was certainly significant and required some respect. Having skied far too long the day before, as well as trying out some longer skis for the day, I didn't have a very productive day here and took it easy with frequent stops in the bar for drinks and snacks. But as usual, the evening light on the slope made it a lovely place to relax. The next day I was trying to catch another bus to a much larger and what I hoped would be the best resort in the area, Białka Tatranska. I was greeted with a wide open piste and lively atmosphere. However, by mid-morning it was already becoming busy. The enjoyment of going down a fantastically wide and shallow piste was quickly overcome as you arrived at the queue at the bottom again. Looking at the resort map, I decided I best try to travel along the resort and find some quieter areas. This was fairly successful, however there were often queues at the bottom of each run as several runs converge at each lift. Maybe it will be quieter in the evening? Here night skiing is open until 10 o'clock. I settled onto a piste I liked and got plenty of runs in. As the light faded and some atmospheric mist formed, this is probably the most enjoyable session of the trip, and this would be the resort I'd recommend most. So if you're looking for a bit of a change, great food and drink at a reasonable price, wide open, picturesque runs and a chilled atmosphere, I can recommend Slovakia and Poland for your next ski trip.